like completely shun somebody. Like I just ignore them completely.
I made a student cry one time because they showed me a print that had just come out of the darkroom, and I was excited for them. It was the first print they made, and I was excited that there was potential, but the print that they showed me really wasn't there yet. So I think she took it as she was happy with what she had done, and I said it was terrible, and I had to really explain it quite a bit after that.
I stood a girl up on a date once.
Lie to someone, then you get like all tangled up in lies, and then it just becomes a whole mess when you have to explain the whole truth.
At the moment, I didn't really care.
I felt bad immediately. As soon as she started crying, I felt that it was a misunderstanding. But I realized that I probably should try to act a little bit more, or speak a little bit with more of a filter.
I felt a little bad, but I did it because I had a chance to go on another date, so it was kind of a selfish thing.
At the time, fine.
I feel really guilty and sad about it.
I still remember it. I felt bad. It was in my first or second year of teaching, so it takes a while before they're able to see through the eyes of a student how what a teacher says to them is going to be taken or mistaken.
Yeah, it was a rotten thing to do. You should always stay with your first commitment.
I feel fine now. I don't feel guilty or anything about lying to someone in the past.
Actually, yes, I have, and we still talk now.
Yeah, I did right away. I said, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I think you misunderstood what I was saying," and I explained it to her. But it was hard for her because it was that initial, that initial answer.
No, that was a long time ago. I think she's okay with it.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I do think that apologizing does solve the problem if the person forgives you. And I think you should always forgive a person if they really mean their apology.
Not always. Often apologizing, as I tell my son, my 9-year-old, when he apologizes on a daily basis for doing the same thing over and over, I usually say, well, you can be sorry, but that doesn't solve the problem. I'd rather have you solve the problem than to be sorry. Because to do the same action over and over again, sorry becomes the excuse. And I just tell him, don't be sorry, just stop doing it. Or as my dad used to say when I was a kid, don't be sorry, just be gone.
I'd say 100% of the time it usually does, yeah.
Yes. Because you're admitting that you're wrong, so it's not like you're not acknowledging it, you're trying to make up for what you did wrong.
I believe a little bit of both. That we are born evil, but we are also good.
I think evil is all perspective. Evil done to achieve a greater good is not always evil, and evil done from one side is not always seen as evil from the other side. So, evil is what evil is what people call the things that other people do that they don't like.
Evil is everywhere, and society does help propel that.
You're like innocent when you're first born, and then like you learn about like lying and like cheating and all that like as you get older. So probably from society, like you don't just not just like born with it. So yeah, society.
I don't think that they have a main goal of being good or evil, especially from birth, because when you're born you don't really think anything.
I think evil is in the eye of the beholder, and I think that people are born with dispositions that may or may not allow them to understand how what they do affects other people. And so I don't think anyone spends their entire life good or bad. I think will vacillate between.
I think people are born rather pure and filled with good. Most evil is either learned or forced on us by people.
I think it like depends on the person if they're gonna like have a desire to be like evil or good from birth. Like,
But wait, what was the second question?
what was the second part of the question?
So, what was the second part of that?
No, because you can't be. I don't believe that you can be solely evil, or particularly good. Everybody does something bad or good at one point in their lives.
Yes, people can go through life being completely evil or completely good. It's part of what you're taught, and part of the environment you're in.
No, I don't.
Peer pressure does a lot of evil. If you're like in, say, a gang, I don't know why you'd be in a gang, but that would definitely influence you to be evil. And I have not been influenced by any gangs, so.
I think the press, media, news, is one of them, and Hollywood, I think, movies and TV is the other one. For instance, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, things like smoking cigarettes was considered cool, and it was sort of pioneered by actors smoking in movies. And then when it became not cool, you don't see that as much anymore. And then during the 80s, when recreational drug use became sort of prominent, then you saw a lot of that in the movies, and not so much anymore. And the same thing with physical violence. I mean, a lot of the movies from the 90s, Arnold Schwarzenegger type movies, are very violent. And I think that that sort of has spearheaded the thought that, you know, someone's just, when they reach the end of the line, they just become violent and take it out on other people. I haven't really been affected by it myself, except that I quit smoking cigarettes on April 3rd of 1998. Not that I ever think about it that much anymore, but and the reason I think I started was back in the 1980s. Every musician, every rock band, every actor, everybody who was cool smoked, and that may have sort of influenced some of what I did then.
When a society decides to go to war, as a citizen, you have to follow along, whether you believe that's right or wrong. So you have to participate in some evil actions for the good of the country.
Influences are definitely going to be other people, like your friends, like lying or cheating on a test or whatever. Yeah, I've obviously been influenced by them because I'm not like perfect or like a solely good person. Not everyone can be solely good.
Depending on who you're with, maybe the desires may vary. If you're with a good group of people, then maybe the desires to be good would come out, and if you're with not the best people around, then the desires to be evil might come out.
Definitely the natural desire to be good. I think what differs is people's definition of good. I think everyone's trying to do good, it's just that good is in the eye of the beholder, and evil sometimes is someone's intention of doing good.
I'd say evil. The good doesn't have control over you. It's basically just who you are naturally. But evil controls you because you know it's evil and you think about it. And you have to decide to either do that or not do that. So it is a controlling factor, evil.
Probably good. It probably like more depends on like the person and like who they are, but probably more good because a lot more good people and just like I feel like you're born good, but then you're influenced to be bad, and it's just like a desire that you have if you turn bad.
I think being moral is, well, amoral is basically kind of like your own set of rules about who you want to be. It's kind of like your own little Bible, but to yourself. And an example would probably be, like, if you had a moral to be kind to everyone, then you'd be kind to everyone.
Being a moral person is adhering to the morals that you have set for your own expectations of your own behavior. So I think morals are like opinions, and everyone has their own idea of what's right and wrong. And so I think everyone sort of does adhere, because if you think it's wrong, then you probably won't do it.
Being moral is doing the right thing that is good for yourself, your family, and the people around you, society. Being moral is helping people who need help, the elderly or somebody who's at a disadvantage. Doing the right thing. If you find a wallet, the moral thing is to do the right thing, to give it back because it's not yours.
Being moral is just like doing good things, and it's based on like who you are and like how you live. Some examples of being moral would be like, if you see someone shoplifting, like you just don't let it happen. You go and like tell someone or like get them to stop or something.
I'd have to say my mom and my grandma.
My own conscience, which is what I think influences everyone to be moral, except people who have no conscience, which I think is probably a trademark of what we consider to be immoral people, which is people that don't have a conscience, that don't adhere to it. So, because I really think that if your conscience dictates your behavior, then that's what controls your behavior. And but again, everyone's conscience, everyone's morals are different. So, my conscience, if it seems like it's a wrong thing to do, then I don't do it. And if it seems like it's okay, then I do.
The way I was raised, what my parents taught me. My mom and dad were very moral people, and I think everyone, it comes down to what you're taught. What the school system taught me, what religious classes taught me, and actually the people around me, my friends and society, what they taught me. It's all being part of a norm.
Your family, your friends, your values, possibly your religion if you're religious, and just how you were brought up.